Everything from software generate critical and commercial success. With its signature Souls formula, countless developers have tried to replace that magic with varying degrees of success. Most would agree that the most recognizable aspect of Zeus games is the high level of difficulty and other similarly brutal mechanics. But what if you completely removed or altered these elements to create a more inviting experience for newcomers to be genre? That what Tiny Build is trying to do with Asterigos Curse of the Stars, and while the results are surprisingly great, some significant shortcomings might stop the game from soaring to the heights that it can set against the backdrop of a fantastical empire that's heavily inspired by the likes of Greek and Roman mythologies. You take on the role of Hilda, a young, impressionable but free warrior of the Northwind Legion who has been sent on missions to find her father's missing battalion. We also learned that Hilda's king has been infected with a foreign curse, and how it falls upon the brave warriors of the Legion to travel to faraway lands in a frantic search for a cure. This leads Hilda and her father's battalion to the town of Ephesus, where the same curse has turned their denizens into goblins, and Bishu crave for Stardust, where you made a bunch of characters and delved deeper into conspiracies that date back thousands upon thousands of years. The story can start out slow, and while it tries to go off towards many different tangents and explore themes of love, empathy, and better lies, they all end up mixing together in such a way that it does not let any particular element shine as bright as it could, and the plot becomes bloated with a lot of unnecessary stuff and technical details that doesn't really add anything to the experience. The characters are pretty distinct, and many have their own quirks and likable personalities, which is a great change of pace from the general Souls-like formula where everyone is on the brink of descending into madness and must all can't ridiculous. For instance, the blacksmith in the game is a cute talking fox who calls you as a here, sweetie, and rushes you in every decision you make. I don't remember the last time I had such a supportive blacksmiths in any Souls-like game, but the dialogue are extremely long and filled with understanding details and blunt writing that makes getting through the conservations and absolute slog at times. The game also features story choices that will affect your characters' relationships and their surroundings, and early game choice allowed me to negotiate a deal with the boss character, but in failing to do so I had to fight the beast, which made me look like a careless killer in the eyes of my companions. As much I tried to stick close to the moral path for future levels, so I did not make any such significant decisions later on. It's a defense system, so players might need to do multiple playthroughs to see how every decision ends up affecting the storyline. Once you're done with the expositions and introductions, Asterigos puts you into the deep, and with its combat I like to term serious combat system. As the Souls-like science, its gameplay is a lot more forgiving in terms of difficulty than your average Souls-like, at least on the normal difficulty, and yet there are difficulty options while you will have to master the careful dance of dodges, blocks, and strikes to get through encounters. You don't need to pay a lot of attention to the stamina meter signs that only depletes by a certain amount when blocking a strike. Enemies are also pretty forgiving, and while there are plenty of enemy types, none of them require radically different strategies to defeat. Even if you die during combat or exploration, none of your collected resources are lost, but you are teleported back to your last visited conduit, which are Asterigos equivalent to bonfires. Hilda can wield two types of weapons at the same time, and you can choose from a handful of options such as a sword and shield combo, a heavy hammer, a pair of daggers, a staff and a spear. Each allows for a slightly different playstyle, but I stuck with the sword and shield combo for the vast majority of their runtime. Alongside the hammer for the social heavy attack, each weapon is fun to use and resource for upgrading. These weapons are painful, so you are likely to find yourself dishing out battling damage to your adversaries. Far over, you also have additional special moves that can be activated through this. The use of triggers alongside the ability to switch elemental buffs mid-fight, another interesting aspect about the combat system in the progressions. As you get through the game, you can earn XP and which provides you with attribute and talent points. The attribute points will go towards increasing your character stats such as HP and damage, while the talent points can be cashed in to unlock special skills for your character from the skill tree. Apart from the tree, also features perks, which provides some gameplay benefit at the cost of a disadvantage. For instance, a perk might increase your effectiveness of your health potions, but it turns your potions carrying capacity decrease. By far, you can change your perk loadout or equip them on the fly, so you can customize your character build depending on the situation at hand. While I don't need to fiddle with these systems all that much on the normal difficulty, your mileage may vary for higher difficulties. Where Australia sticks closely to the Souls-like formula is in an exploration department. You start from a shelter where you make your way to different levels, which range from a ghosted bather to a trap-infested mine to high walled forts each, of which is a large space that loops around itself. There are very few checkpoints in every map, so it becomes essential to search every nook and cranny in search of shortcuts like elements or locked doors, so that the subsequent journeys become a lot easier. Of course, going off the beaten path also rewards you with the more crafting materials or consumables that you can make these sectors worthwhile. Each of these levels also features some NPCs which will give out simple side quests involving fetching something for somebody or finding a hidden item somewhere in the map, which, as you can guess, are not all that interesting. At the end of a level, you are greeted with a boss fight, and while some of them can be fairly challenging, they are pretty forgettable for the most part, as trenches have some promising aspects when it comes to gameplay, but the game feels sorely lacking in the technical department. The game looks pretty bland, with lifeless textures and painfully low draw distance, and the animation are not smooth as I would have liked. Enemy AE also has a tendency to glitch out, and there are many instances when some enemies would not react to my presence at all, among other things.